have a seat at the bar. She's gonna hand you a big breakfast menu. It's this big. You know what we have for traditional American breakfast?
Choices! Yeah, lots of choices. You want some eggs? How do you want them done? We can do them 10 different ways. You want French toast? You want waffle? Pancakes? We have chocolate chip pancakes. They'll put a whipped cream smiley face right on there for your fucking British ass. Or maybe you want a whipped cream frowny face to match that dour expression. You're still trying to fight liking it here.
Order a cocktail, and she's gonna do something you've never seen before. She's gonna pour it like this, and she's gonna go up and down, and she keeps pouring it.
How can this possibly be right? In the UK, when you order a mixed drink, some scientist pops out of the floorboards in a lab coat, and he's a system of weights and measures, and a fucking stainless steel cylinder that assures that you will not get any more, even the vapors of more than 1 measured ounce in your fucking $15 cocktail.
Life here is really fucking good. Yeah, we have a lot of dumb people here, but you can afford to be dumb here. Everything makes sense.
You're lost, you don't know where you are. Where are you? 77th Street? Go a block. You know what's next? 78th Street.
It makes sense. You don't have to think. It's not like your roads that are all crisscross and mishmash, and they're all built 1,100 years ago for donkeys and carts, and you don't know where the hell you are or where you're going.
Hitler did his best to help the UK and level that country flat so they could start over like extreme country makeover. And what did the Brits do? They spat in Hitler's face and built it back brick by brick exactly the way it was 1,100 years ago when it didn't make sense.
Come to America. You can stay on my couch. If you don't like it after a week, I'll give you your money back.
I wonder what's going on in the world.
Well, our main story this morning is that at least one meteor has come down in central London, injuring more than 500 people.
Oh, Christ! Oh, my God!
Forgive me, I think I just said that. Probably scared lots of people by saying central London, central Russia.
Oh, thank God for that. It's just Russia's been destroyed.
Yes, in a series of jaw-dropping, not to mention pants-browning images, it transpired Great God Almighty had tossed a gigantic rock at the Earth in scenes which occasionally resembled a celestial game of Angry Birds.
It was brilliant fodder for rolling news channels, which have been in training for the end of the world for ages, and now had a good dry run of exactly what it will look like.
The blast blew out windows, rocked offices, disrupted otherwise charming school lessons, and injured hundreds, but most importantly, looked amazing on telly.
Giving the meteor story extra teeth, a massive asteroid was also headed for our fragile Earth bauble, and the scientists who were promising it wouldn't hit us were exactly the same ones who hadn't seen the Russian meteor coming.
As the death rock approached, the One Show put a jaunty collision clock on screen so you could count down the seconds until the misery of watching the One Show would be blissfully extinguished by the absolute destruction of all life on Earth.
3, 2, 1...
Ah, f***ing life continues.
Defecation, and Andrex send an enthusiastic Dawn Porter round the nation to foist damp bog roll on people.
I'm here to talk about wiping bums.
Oh good, because we're definitely here to listen.
Fizzy Dawn drags her victims into a trailer and invites them to plop and wipe.
How was it? It was okay.
I'd give it 10 minutes if I were you.
Not as moist as I thought they would be.
Ooh, what have you been eating? Horse? But that isn't enough, because for some mad reason, Andrex now wants to provoke a national conversation on bum wiping techniques by asking whether we scrunch toilet paper or fold it in a line-crossing advert that's presumably wiped its arse on someone's CV.
Don't be square. Scrunch.
Be fabulous. Fold.
Scrunch like me. Number 3.
Can't wait for the next one in this series where they ask if you've ever got a bit of shit on one of your fingers by accident while wiping your arse. This, of course, is the first step. They're softening us up. First it's going to be how do you wipe, and then it's going to be, oh, can I watch you do it? And before you know it, Andrex is going to be lying under the glass coffee table looking up and filming it on a smartphone.
Behave.
Don't know about you, but when I ate a burger, I used to think, what a tasty compacted disc of minced tissue scrapings blasted off a cow carcass with a high-pressure hose and a fly-blown abattoir ringing with the incoherent, agonised howls of simple beasts dying from a single bolt gun shot to the forehead. But now it turns out it might not have been as appetising as that.
Good evening. Supermarket shelves are being cleared of frozen burgers tonight after reports that some contain DNA from horses.
A few weeks ago, the news went a bit silent witness Tesco edition as cheap burgers were being illegally cut with horse.
Being caught out flogging a dead horse was bad publicity for Tesco. Many of us don't want to eat horse. We're not barbarians. Although barbarians are precisely the people Tesco apparently use to choose produce for their customers, as their alarming new ad campaign makes clear. That's the last time you're going to see that falcon, unless you pick up some meatballs on the way out. Obviously, you can't trust flipping Conan here to possibly tell the difference between a cow and a horse. I mean, look, he probably thinks that avocado's a dragon's egg. Mind you, you never know what weird mash-up food you're going to get in Tesco.
Those were probably laid by a horse. Bet that melon's full of pig guts, and f*** knows how you make tiger loaf.
And it wasn't just horse rearing up unexpectedly. It was also revealed some halal prison food contained an insulting amount of pig. Halal meat-eaters were as stunned as halal cows aren't. But the steady gallop of nasty food stories was about to become a stampede, as the top story basically became, ugh.
The horse meat scandal deepens. Findus lasagnas have been found to contain up to 100% horse meat.
100% horse meat? That is a complete mare.
By now, the revelations were piling up like mangled horses at Beecher's Brook, and the news was full of more pink, meaty, glistening close-up shots than a year's subscription to Penthouse, as well as upsetting testimony from members of the public dismayed to discover they may have unwittingly noshed off a horse.
For Alfie Green, beef lasagna was a tea-time favourite. Not anymore.
So, will you be eating any more of these?
No, not no more, we won't. Definitely not.
Oh, come on, let's not be too hasty. Don't go mad, you'll miss out on this kind of gourmet experience. Ah, I bet your mouth's watering at home. To discuss the grim scandal, Sky paraded a paddock full of food experts on screen, some of whom did their best to lighten the distressing news by describing the crisis in the voice of Ronnie Corbett.
Well, what's supposed to happen is that the supermarket checks on your behalf. Supermarkets are the experts in food.
You know what, he may sound funny, but he really knows the food chain.
No, we're talking about the food chain, and at one end meat comes out, and cows normally go in. But somewhere in the food chain, horses came in and meat came out.
This guy is good. This whole thing has been a PR disaster for Findus, which is a shame because their lasagnas always look really nice in the lovingly shot adverts. I mean, look at that, no hooves sticking out of it or anything. That's it, son, eat your horse, giddy up.
In the pre-horse meat scandal days, Findus used to run an impressively chic advert for their gourmet range.
Created by a suave French chef.
Candles, wine, music, and the secret weapon. A recipe from Jean-Christophe Novelli himself.
Yes, Jean-Christophe Novelli used to be the credible face of Findus lasagna, prepping the food in a notably horseless kitchen. Wonder if he's ever used horse. I mean, I'm sure if he has, he only used the finest quality Parisian horse.
Created by me, frozen by Findus.
And ridden by jockeys.
We've been asked to point out that Jean-Christophe Novelli has in no way been implicated in the horse meat scandal. Of course, thanks to television, we've become accustomed to seeing food prepared in picturesque kitchens like this, whereas as Sky News starkly depicted, Findus lasagnas are actually made in places like this. In fact, rather than friendly Findus, they're actually manufactured by the less appetising sounding Comigel, who supply lovingly mass-produced frozen dead animal gobble pots for companies all over Europe, the trail of suspect meat being detailed on the news like a map from Invasion of the Edible Horse Creatures. In fact, thanks to the charming accompanying footage we've seen of the depressing interiors of food processing plants, the whole thing is starting to feel uncomfortably close to the plot of the superbly depressing 70s dystopian epic Soylent Green, in which Charlton Heston discovers processed food is being manufactured from the corpses of recently euthanized people. Technology and the humble BlackBerry's had it hard of late, with tough competition and tech problems denting its popularity to the point where, as Sky News forensically pointed out, its own users tried to kill it with hammers.
It took about a month of intermittent bashing to actually break the BlackBerry handset up.
But now the BlackBerry handset folk were attempting to revive their fortunes with an informative and exciting relaunch.
Yes, they're replacing their outmoded pocket typewriters with something that looks like an iPhone, but isn't, and another thing that looks like a BlackBerry and is.
Aren't they beautiful?
But perhaps most startling of all, BlackBerry now has a new global creative director, courtesy of an announcement straight out of The Celebrity Apprentice.
She's BlackBerry's new global creative director. Please welcome Mrs. Alicia Keys.
Yes, Alicia Keys. They signed her because playing the piano and wearing hats are key business skills, and not because the CEO wanted an excuse to get off with her on stage. What's odd about the appointment of Alicia Keys is she's actually a big Apple fan. I mean, she did a whole song about New York. In fact, the only thing Alicia Keys has to do with BlackBerry is she's black and wears a beret. And you wonder if she's ever really going to work.
I'll see you in the office.
Yeah,
all
Monday,
right,
8 o'clock.
There was this amazing programme about Africa, right? All about this country called Africa, which is why they called it that. There's always charity things saying Africa's full of starving people and you should send them your money. But that must be a con, because you could see from the footage no one actually lives in Africa. It flies over for ages and there's literally no one there. And the reason no one's there is it's full of monsters. There's like sort of hairy men monsters and tall horse monsters that run around like deck chairs would if deck chairs ran, and these vagina head monsters that fight in ponds. It's really frightening. I'm glad it's miles away.
Normally, animals are in zoos where people give them a sense of purpose by throwing nuts at them and watching them do tricks. But because there's no people left in Africa, the animals have gone mad. Like, the elephants attack each other with their mouth sticks, and the tall horse monsters have these head fighting competitions that look like they'd filmed Rocky inside two giraffes by mistake.
It was a bit with a monkey and his bum's a state, right? It was all ragged. He looked like he'd been shitting, I don't know, metal hexagons or something to get an arsehole that torn up. But there's no doctors in the jungle, so he has to just walk around with it like that.
It's so bleak. You can tell the animals are depressed. Some of them are just smashing stuff up. Some of them can't eat anymore, you know. Some of them can't hack it, so they just lie around. There was this gazelle that had hung itself.
It'd show you amazing things you didn't know, like how gazelles can float and how baby ostriches dance to music. And how when a cricket falls on the floor, it makes a massive noise like it's made of metal.
Just like how Who Framed Roger Rabbit had all the cartoons in it, this had all the animals, all the famous animals, crammed in together so the personalities clash in the jungle, like I'm a Celebrity. And they eat horrible things too, just like I'm a Celebrity, but they don't mind if they taste of animals, because they're already animals, so they can't taste it. They nicked all this other stuff from reality shows. Like, they have infrared night camera, like on Big Brother, so you can see what they do at night when they've been drinking.
He may have style, but he's turning out to be something of a disappointment.
It's incredible what you learn. Like, I discovered that no matter how majestic and incredible nature is, if my phone beeps, I can just ignore Africa and check my text without even thinking. So really, if the environment goes to shit and all those animals die, you know, I think I'll be able to carry on.
Hair, and a simpering husband dribbles his way through a glossy cheeseball hair dye ad.
Kate and I have been married for 15 years. That's 3 moves, 5 jobs, 2 newborns. It's no wonder I'm getting grey.
Grey? You're black and white.
But Kate still looks like Kate.
It'd be weird if she looked like the late Richard III.
I don't know all her secrets, but I do know Kate's more beautiful now than the day I married her.
Yeah, well, the day you married her, she was pale and shivering with regret, you fucking creep.
Well, that's all we've got time for in this special compilation edition. Until we see you again, go away.
He's been doing well, but the best is yet to come. Comic Relief's Big Chat with Graham Norton continues over on BBC Three.
You've got a second chance, you could go home.
What are you?
Escape it all, it's just irrelevant.